Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today is going to be my very late Premier League predictions. I say that because most people do early Premier League predictions in like July after the season's just ended, but I'm doing this like 4 days before the start of the Premier League season. So yeah, a bit late, but obviously I did just come back and I didn't want to spam you guys with uploads because I am trying to kind of do a every other day kind of thing. As some of you might have noticed, my first video, then I waited a day, then I uploaded the next day, and now I've waited a day since then, and now I'm here. I also wanted to thank you guys for the support on the penalty shootout video. I was expecting my penalty shootout video to do better than my first video back, just because penalty shootouts were always my most popular videos, but I expected maybe like 50 views on them just because it was a generic thing, penalty shootouts, but I ended up getting 350 last time I checked, which was last night, so it might be more now. Anyway, let's get into this because this is pre-recorded, so I've got to fit all of this into this gameplay. So, I am going to be doing obviously the Premier League table, and I will also be saying about all the cups and who I think the Golden Boot winner and the assist boot winner will be, I guess. Anyway, let's get straight into it. So, last place I've got Southampton. This is because I think they've only got a few players who are Premier League quality. Um, Carl Walker-Peters and Hardwood Bellis, who obviously they signed permanently after a loan spell at Southampton last season from Man City, but I still don't think that those two are going to be able to save the whole team. They did get that new striker. I forgot his name. It's terrible of me. The Chilean one that doesn't sound Chilean. Anyway, yeah, they did bring him in, but they have also stuck with Adam Armstrong, who in the Premier League is not a goal scorer. We have seen what he does in the Championship, but he's just not a goal scorer in the Prem. And yeah, I just don't know where the goals are going to come from. Also, one last thing, I think bringing back Lallana is going to have an impact. Obviously, he didn't end on the best of terms with Southampton. He forced for a move to my team, Liverpool. So he didn't have the best relationship with the fans, and I think that could strain the relationship between the club and the fans this season. Which obviously, when you're in a relegation battle, you need all the support you can get with when it comes to your fan base. So yeah, next up, 19th Leicester. Now, before anyone yells at me, including my girlfriend because she's from Leicester, um, I think that they would finish mid-table, but seeing as they are likely to have a big point deduction, like has been reported, it hasn't happened yet, but it does seem likely to happen. Because of that, I think they would get relegated. I feel like they would probably finish like 14th, 13th if there wasn't a point deduction, because I think they do have a Premier League squad, and I think they shouldn't have got relegated in the first place. The one weakness I was noticing though is that they don't really have any real striker option. Daka, he never really proved himself in the Premier League. They sold Iheanacho and he was never really great for Leicester anyway. And obviously there's Jamie Vardy, who I'm guessing will probably start the season up top. And I think he did score like 15 goals in the Championship last season, but I think he's like 37 now, something like that. And I just don't think, I think his time in the Premier League has passed. He had his prime, which was in his 30s, and I don't think he's going to be completely useless, but I do only think he's going to get a couple of goals. So I think the goals will mainly come from the wing, and obviously for a relegated team, who's just come back up, you want goals from your main man up top. So yeah. Also, player of the season. I forgot to say these. Player of the season: Hardwood Bellis for Southampton, and Ndidi for Leicester City. Now, 18th place, I've got Nottingham Forest. I think that they have got quite a weak defence. If you look into their squad, then you can definitely see it's the weakest part of their team, especially with a few better defenders being linked with moves away. They also have a lot of unproven keepers. Obviously, not Travers, sorry. Oh my god, how am I forgetting so many names in this video? Uh, the the American keeper who they bought from Arsenal. I have no idea how I keep forgetting that. But yeah, I think that other than him, they don't have much experience with the keepers they've brought in. and he is not a good he is not a good goalkeeper really. He was decent when he was playing at Arsenal, but then he moved to Forest. He was decent for his first little while, but then obviously Dean Henderson came in and Keylor Navas, and then he hasn't really gained his choice back. Matt Turner, that's the one I'm talking about. But yeah, and obviously they have Sells, and he had a decent season, but still, I don't think he's great. And they've signed a few more goalkeepers who have no Premier League experience, like one from the Brazilian league. So, yeah. And also, lastly, Morgan Gibbs White is constantly linked with a move away. I know it happens every summer. He might end up staying, but I feel like either way they'll get relegated, and he will finally get his big move next summer. Player of the season, if he stays, Morgan Gibbs White. If not, then I'm going to say Elanga. 17th, I do think that Ipswich Town will survive just about. My reasoning for that is they have made a couple good signings. Obviously, they made Hutchinson's loan from Chelsea permanent. They bought in Greaves, Delap, all of that, all of those players. They've also brought Johnson and Murick in. I think they'll have the momentum from back-to-back promotions, and the fact that their manager's stuck with them. Instead of going to Chelsea or United, which for him must have been very hard to turn down. So I think that momentum of the back-to-back promotions and keeping their manager will be just enough to make them survive. But I do mean just enough. I think they'll survive by a maximum of 2 or 3 points. So if they do survive and they want to make sure they keep a place in the Prem, they will have to improve again next season. I think they do have a few Premier League experienced players like Johnson, who played over 100 games for his boyhood club West Ham before he got released this summer. Obviously, Murick doesn't have as much, but he did play a lot of Burnley's season last year. And Rory Delap, not Rory Delap, Liam Delap, that's his dad. But yeah, Delap, I don't think he actually played much with City, but he was under Pep Ball and all that, so that is a lot of good time to learn. I think obviously the weakness, and this could be a weakness or a strength. This is the first time in the Premier League since the 2000 and 2001 season, so only the second time this century they've been in the Prem. That could be a weakness or a strength. They could want to prove themselves. They could also fall under the pressure, but I think they will just survive. And I think their player of the season will be Hutchinson. Next up, we've got Everton in 16th, and I promise I'm not just saying this because I'm a Liverpool fan, because if I was just saying it because I was a Liverpool fan, I would have put them 20th. But I think they've got quite a boring style of football. Obviously, Dyche has always had a boring style of football when he was at Burnley. But I do think that is what will keep them up, because Dyche is a relegation battle expert. All of the times he completed a season with Burnley, apart from one, I believe, he didn't get relegated, and I do believe he would have helped Burnley survive if he didn't get sacked when he did. So yeah, he is a great manager for a relegation battle, and I think he will survive again. And I think a big reason for that is they do have a few good players like Branthwaite and Pickford, and it looks like Branthwaite is going to be staying. That could still change before the end of the transfer window, but for now it looks like it will be. Last thing, they do have a bit of an older squad, obviously other than Branthwaite, Patterson, all of those kind of players. They don't really have the youngest squad. I mean, Seamus Coleman, I think is like 35 now. So yeah, and player of the season, I think will be Jordan Pickford for them, and I think he's been player of the season constantly for years for them. So yeah, 15th, I've put Brentford. As a positive, that is Tony staying, but I think the only real reason that Tony is staying is because their big money signing is injured. Obviously, Tony wouldn't really care about that, but he hasn't actually really made much of a fuss this summer. Like, after all the stuff he was saying last season, you would have expected him to make a fuss and force his way out, but he hasn't. So that is a good thing, and it also means that front three of Wissa and Bumo and Tony will stay together for at least one more season, and they have been very solid as a front three, probably one of the better ones in the league, but the rest of the team kind of lets them down, which is my next point. They have out of all of their team, they've got a weak midfield. It's not the strongest position in the team, which obviously isn't great because that's the obviously in the middle because it's midfield between your attack and your defence. So if you don't have a great midfield, your defenders are kind of left by themselves and they can get bypassed much easier. Obviously, like I said, Thiago Motta, I think his name is. I think he's injured till like November, December, so it's a bit of a blow. But yeah, I think they'll be just on the edge of the relegation battle. I think their player of the season will be Mbuemo. Now, 14th here I have Brighton, and I think they will be the last team kind of put in the relegation battle like all the way. Now, I'm sorry, but I just can't put my faith in a 31-year-old manager. Like half his team, well, not half his team, but a few players in the team are older than him. And like you think about James Milner. James Milner, I think he's 38 or he's 37, 38, and he's like 6 or 7 years older than his manager. Like he is not going to have any respect in the dressing room. They're going to have Milner being respected more than him, and he's not even the team's captain. It's going to all descend into anarchy, and I don't think he's going to be surviving the season. I think around Christmas time they could be in around 17th, and then he will get the sack, and they will bring someone better in. Like it's a nice experiment, but I feel like when you're trying to be ambitious, like Brighton have been recently, it's a weird one, and also their form was dreadful at the end of last season. Not only that, they didn't put 2 wins together last season since September, which is just a dreadful record under an actual good manager like De Zerbi. So I just don't think that this is gonna be great. One good thing I can say is Verbruggen is a good potential keeper, and I do think he's going to be player of their season, but I don't think that will save them. 13th Fulham. They've got a pretty equal squad all over. Obviously, they have lost Polina and haven't replaced him, but they do have quite a good squad. Polina just made it even better, I personally think. I don't think they'll fall apart without Polina. This is a similar placement to where they were last season. If not, actually, they might have finished 13th last season. I'm not too sure. They might have. Yeah, but like I said, they do have some really good players like Robinson, Leno, and Smith Rowe. And also with Marco Silva staying once again, I think he's the perfect man to keep going with Fulham. He understands them. He could have gone for the Saudi money last summer, I think it was, but he didn't, and that has really paid off for Fulham. I think Fulham are happy to be a mid-table team in the Premier League. They're just happy that they've finally got rid of their reputation as a yo-yo club, which is good for them, obviously. So I think they will settle for another 13th place season. And player of their season, I think it will be Robinson. We had links with Robinson earlier in the window. I would have loved him at Liverpool, and yeah, but it looks like he's staying, and I think he will be their best player this season. Next up in 12th, we have Wolves. Now, if somehow the Irish guy is watching this video, please close your ears because he does not like Wolves at all. But I do think Wolves will have a solid season, like they did last year. They've kept most of their squad. Obviously, obviously Pedro Neto's left and Max Kilman, but other than that, they've kept most of the squad together, and I think they'll just have a similar placement to what they did last season because of that. So, player of the season, I'm going to go with Acuna for them. I think he will just be the main goal scorer again and all that. Next up, we have 11th in Bournemouth. I think they will finish here because Iraola does have a good project going, and it was good of the Bournemouth board to keep faith in him, especially at like the start of last season when he probably should have got the sack. But he improved throughout the season, and he did a much better job. I think that with the loss of Solanke, that prevents a higher finish in the league. I feel like if they still had Solanke, they would have cracked into the top 10, but unfortunately, obviously, they haven't. So they will be a bit of a less goal threat. But I think other players like Sinisterra and all of those will help. And there are good young players in the squad like Alex Scott and Kirkes, and I think that will help them. A player of the season, I've put Kluivert in there. 10th, Chelsea. Now, I'm sorry, Chelsea fans, including my mate, who is a Chelsea fan, but Maresca is not at all Chelsea quality. He should not be your manager. Like, Chelsea, like, if we're being serious right now, Chelsea have been a laughingstock in the past few years, but they should still have some pride. and signing Maresca is just not. It's just not that. Poch, he brought them to their best finishing when they had been embarrassed 2 years, 2 seasons in a row, and for some reason they just decided to sack him, which I think is ridiculous after they got him to finish sixth. But Maresca is not going to do this at all. Like I said, they would finish higher with Poch, and also I think selling Gallagher and bringing in Kieran Drisby Hall is absolutely ridiculous. Gallagher started like 50 games for them, no, played like 50 games for them last season. He was their captain a lot of the time because both Chilwell and James were injured, and I think the disrespect they're showing is ridiculous. And speaking about disrespect, they're just shutting out loads of academy players like Trevor Chalobah, Broha, um, all of that. Like, they're just shutting them out. Like, they're not even just not including them in games. Like, for Trevor Chalobah, for example, he's been sent to play with the under 21s, and train with them. I mean, which is just an enormous disrespect because Chalobah has done a lot for Chelsea, and I think it's just ridiculous that they are shutting him out like that. I get it if you want to sell him, but don't shut him out like that. Like, he's not even allowed to use the main team facilities, and that is just an enormous disrespect for me. And also there is tension in the squad after the Enzo situation. Obviously, everyone said that everything was good, but I very much doubt that it is. Like, he was being racist, and I very much doubt that his teammates will just accept that and move on. So I think there will be tension with him. And Palmer will yet again be the only saving grace that saves them from finishing even lower. I think Maresca will be another manager that will be sacked, but I think Todd Boehly will be more stubborn on this one, so it will take till like March time to sack him, which won't be enough to save their season. And player of the season is obviously going to be Cole Palmer. Ninth, I've got Crystal Palace. Glasner has come in and made a huge impact on Palace. Obviously, that last 6-7 games run of last season where they won all the games apart from one, including beating Liverpool and United in there. Like, I think that was great, and it shows what Glasner can do. I think Mateta will keep scoring, maybe not to the extent he was at the end of last season, but he definitely will keep going on. Obviously, they have left. Elise has left the club. I think Elise they would have got Europe, but I just don't know if Kamada or Sa, who are the new signings, will be able to fill that void. So I think they will still compete for Europe, but they won't finish in it. One last thing, Gahey obviously might be leaving, so that could affect this in some way because he's got a big link to Newcastle at the moment, which Newcastle are just trying to pay the right price, and Palace are then willing for him to leave. Player of the season, I think it will be Eze. It was always going to be Eze or Elise, and obviously Elise's left, so it's going to be Eze. 8th, West Ham. I think they've easily had the best transfer window in the league, bringing in loads of players to help them on. Obviously, they're going to keep Paqueta, which means they keep that front three. Well, not front three, but they keep those three of Paqueta, Bowen, and Kudus. And now they've got that new striker up top, who I think will be a much better addition to the team than Antonio in the striker role. Because obviously Antonio is old, he's slow, which is not what wingers like Bowen and Kudus need, or a playmaker like Paqueta. I think Lopetegui is a great manager to have given the team after years of Moyes. Obviously, Moyes did well for them, but they wanted to be ambitious, and they just didn't have that with Moyes. I think with Lopetegui, obviously, as he's shown from his signings, he has a statement of intent to try and bring West Ham back to the kind of positions they were a few seasons ago when they finished 6th back-to-back, I think it was. And I think they will have a really good season. And simply, I think they would be higher if it just wasn't for the other teams that were ahead of them. Player of the season will be Bowen. I think he'll have another great season. 7th, Villa. Before all the Villa fans get mad at me, I was mad originally when I heard other people making his predictions, but thinking about it, it does make sense. And when I was looking at the table, thinking about it, I was like, yeah, they've got to go here. I feel they would be able to compete to get back into that Champions League spot if it weren't for the UCL fixture congestion. Obviously, not only are they in the Champions League, but the Champions League has more games this season, and I do think they will be able to get out of the league stage. So I just think that will take a toll on their season, and they'll go down a couple spaces. It will still be a good season, but they will just have too many fixtures, probably more injuries, and obviously Douglas Luiz leaving will have a hard effect on the squad, I think. And player of the season, I think it will be Watkins. I think he'll have another 20-goal season, even if they do finish lower. Obviously, now that Douglas Luiz is gone, I'd imagine Watkins would be on penalties. So, yeah. Sixth, Man United. I think they will have a better season than last season because they have made some good yet unproven transfers like Zerki and Yoro, who's obviously currently injured, but he's a good player. I just don't think Erik ten Hag is the man to get United back to their best, and he should have been sacked even after they lost the FA, even after they won the FA Cup final, because he's won 2 trophies with them, but I don't think either of them were any good. His first season when he finished third, that was fine. Yeah, this season it's just no. He should have been sacked. I don't think he's the man to keep them going, and it's looking like it could be another injury hit season for them. From what we've seen so far, I think their player of the season will be Bruno Fernandes. Fifth, I've got Newcastle. They're kind of like last season's Villa that I'm talking about, falling down cause of the UCL. But obviously they finished 7th last season. They should have got Conference League, but then United won the FA Cup, so they took Europa and Chelsea took Conference. But I think because of that, they won't have that fixture congestion. And last season, 50% of the team was always injured because they had so many games and so little players. So I think they will climb back up and just miss out on a return to the Champions League, because all they have to focus about is the league and the cups. Fourth, I think Spurs. They've had good signings. Ange project is now settled and it's into his 2nd year. I do think Solanke will be like a 15-goal plus season striker, and I think they'll scrape back into the UCL by 2 or 3 points. And also, I think this will be Mikey Moore's breakout season. I've heard a lot of people talking about him. I've watched some of his stuff in pre-season highlight games, and he looks really good. Player of the season will be Son, in my opinion. Third, I've gone for my team, Liverpool, which I think is the first time I've actually been unbiased in these Premier League predictions, if I'm being completely honest, that I've done over the years. But pre-season did look extremely promising, and I think Harvey Elliott will have a 15 goals and assists season, because that was the one thing he was lacking in his game, and I really think he's gained that. I think Slot's first season will take a bit of time, even with the promise that we've shown. And obviously we still have no number 6 and no signings at all after we got rejected yet again. We do not... Number 6s do not like us apparently, but I think that will be a bit down. If we do get a proper number 6, maybe we could challenge for seconds, but I don't know. It's, yeah. And I think our player of the season will be Mo Salah. He's looked really good in pre-season, and I think he'll be back to close to his best. Second, Arsenal. Obviously, they just missed out on the last 2, and they will go close again. But I think they'll lose the league on the last day, just like last year. I do, though, think they will have the best defence in the league, like they did last season, because that back 4 is actually really good. But I just don't think they have what it takes to compete against City. Their player of the season will be Saka. And obviously, first place, 5 in a row. Obviously, we've got Man City. I don't need much explanation for that. They've just got super team. Obviously, apparently the trial is soon, but I honestly don't think that City will lose the trial. They have the best lawyers in the world. They'll figure out a way to sort it out for them. And I think the player of the season will be Rodri. Now, I am running out of time here, but I will quickly go through the other things. FA Cup, I think we will win that. I think Slot will win something in his first season, because the way we've been playing in pre-season, we will win games, and I think the FA Cup will be a good competition for that. And I think finally Newcastle will get their Carabao Cup. They've been close so many times recently. UCL, Madrid, Europa League Conference, Chelsea, Roma, and Golden Boot, Isak, and then assist leader Kevin De Bruyne. But those are my Premier League predictions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry the end was a bit rushed, but I am running out of time. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you did. And I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.